Hi, I'm Jez for Windows Central, and this is my review summary of Battlefield Hardline on the Xbox One.
Police, don't make a move.
Battlefield Hardline is the first FPS developed by Visceral Games. Visceral are most famous for the Dead Space series, a third-person survival horror set in deep space. Many had hoped that Visceral would up the ante when it came to Battlefield's single-player campaign treatment, so let's talk about that first.
Why the hell doesn't this guy in the helmet ever talk?
In Battlefield Hardline, you play as Detective Nick Mendoza, a rookie with a personal mission to play it by the book. The Frostbite engine renders facial mocap beautifully, and each character delivers a stellar performance that for once has made me care about Battlefield's single-player component.
Nick, just so you know, I really appreciate you saving my ass back there.
Battlefield Hardline won't win any awards for its story, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. Gameplay-wise, Hardline's single-player can be punishingly monotonous. The game actively incentivizes you to utilize its clunky stealth mechanics, which allow the player to distract enemies by throwing objects, have them freeze, and then prime them for a rest. The mechanic is as boring as it is overpowered. Enemies have virtually no peripheral vision, meaning that getting in close trivializes the difficulty, even on veteran mode. Every enemy reacts in the same way as well, and considering single-player unlocks come as a result of gathering points, and arresting enemies with outstanding warrants accrues the most points, Visceral actively incentivise grinding out in the most boring playstyle possible, which is a bit of a shame. The much advertised evidence gathering mechanic boils down to an elaborate collectibles system, but offers some additional backstory on the plot and characters that some players might enjoy. Overall, the single-player campaign is a step in the right direction. The characters are far more interesting than Battlefield 4's Semper Fi, Russia is evil snooze fest, and I find myself hoping they'll continue Nick's story. But hey, after all, it is Battlefield, and nobody picks up Battlefield with a single player, do they?
Give it a rest.
You stay out of it, Mendoza.
Battlefield Hardline attempts to turn the Battlefield paradigm into a cops and robbers fantasy, and makes a fairly good effort in doing so. The multiplayer component is solid. I mean, after all, it is Battlefield. The guns handle well, sport individual personalities, staple gadgets like C4 and health kits return, but unfortunately the new additions to the arsenal are perhaps less useful than I would have hoped. Hardline features several new gameplay modes over its Battlefield predecessor to further the cops and robbers idea, and they do so with mixed success. Besides staples like Team Deathmatch and Conquest, Hardline sports Heist, which sees police players defend the contents of a vault from encroaching criminal players who are tasked to steal the contents to specific drop points. The vault cracking aspect of this mode is over in the blink of an eye, which is a shame. I think there was real potential for some solid cops and robbers flavour in this mode rather than just it being a CTF attack defend variant. Blood Money, however, my favourite mode, tasks players to collect money from the centre of the map and return it to their home base. There's a lot of gameplay variety packed into this simple premise. Gathering money from the cash pile can take a really long time on an individual basis and creates a tense risk versus reward gameplay scenario as you assess whether or not to remain picking up cash for longer or take what you've managed to gather so far and do a runner. Additionally, you can steal money from vanquished players or steal directly from the enemy's own cash pile. Hotwire is a mixed bag. Whilst I enjoy this mode, I don't think it's particularly well thought out. It's similar to Conquest in the sense you control nodes which deplete enemy respawn tickets, except the nodes in this mode are moving vehicles which need to be driven by players above a certain speed to be considered captured. I've had a lot of fun in this mode with friends, manning chopper guns, setting up roadblocks, C4, etc. The problem is, all of that fun often results in a loss for the team. If your team spends time focusing on blowing up vehicles rather than driving them, then you're probably not winning. Visceral once again incentivise playing in the most boring way possible, that being driving around in circles on the back of Frostbite's questionable driving mechanics. I've been in games where a single guy is driven around in a circle in a car park for the duration of a 20-minute match. I can't imagine how boring that must be. In addition to these modes, there's also 5v5 competitive modes, Hostage, which has players extract hostages from criminal players, and Crosshair, which designates one player as a VIP, whilst criminal players are tasked to assassinate him. There's no respawn in these modes, but they offer tightly knit groups a chance to play more tactically. Overall, Battlefield Hardline's multiplayer is solid. The bugs and server issues that plague Battlefield 4's launcher are thankfully absent, and every aspect of Hardline is polished and well presented. However, the things I enjoy most about Battlefield, that being unbridled firepower, environmental destruction, and so on, are sorely lacking in Hardline, and it creates a muted experience that makes me want to jump back into Battlefield 4 rather than toe the line, so to speak. As usual, check out the link in the description for a more detailed hands-on with Battlefield Hardline. I've been Jez for Windows Central, I'm MSFTY on Twitter, and thanks for watching.